And if you look at some of the features that have made us great as a country in terms of leadership, number one is the focus on goals. We've always set a goal for ourselves right from when we were school students. You had a goal, depending on the part of the country, if you're like a South Indian like me, then the goal was always getting 100%, which you never satisfied your dad at because you never got 100% in every subject. In some societies, it was just passing was good enough. But you had some goal that you set for yourself. And I think this is important to understand, that goal is an important attribute. Now, goal doesn't have to be harsh. Goal doesn't have to be compelling. But that goal is translated in our lives into what both Prabha and Hina talked about, which is purpose. And I think those organizations and those companies and those people who are driven by a certain sense of purpose tend to achieve not success, not necessarily monetary rewards, not necessarily a whole amount of claim and name and fame, but they achieve what we all seek as human beings, which we don't articulate well enough, which is happiness. Purpose gives rise to happiness. The sense of satisfaction that you have as a leader, as a teacher, as a guru, as a shishya, lies in the fact that you have been happy in achieving the purpose that you set yourself out to do. And those purpose are set on values which again in the Indian ethos is taught very well to do. Whether it is the value of speech, today we forget it. Today we have forgotten it. Today speech can be as harsh as it can, and it shows a sign, it is seen to be a sign of power. But Kabir said this beautifully. He said, "Aisi bani boliye, man ka apa khoye, auran ko sheetal kare, aaphu sheetal hoye." We have forgotten the value of respect and dignity in speech. Aisi bani boliye, speak that it not only brings softness and peace to your mind, it also brings that to the listener. And that is seen with another value, virtue which is built in us as leadership, which is built in organizations. Not only should you be respectful, but you should also be introspective. Again, Kabir said this, "Bura jo dekhan main chala, bura na biliya koi, jo dil khoja apna, mujhsa bura na koi." I think as Indians we have this, that we go out into this world to seek who was bad, who was evil. We look at ourselves and we realize there's no one worse than us. That is a huge strength, my young friends, as a country. There are very few societies where introspection is an innate part of living. Now, whether you meditate or whether you chant or whether you even pray is a different matter altogether. That's your call. But that you introspect on where you are and what you're doing is an important aspect of becoming a leader. A lot of us go through difficult moments. I've had a long career, more than 40 years in the industry. And I can tell you I'm a little bit of an albatross. I always land up into a crisis or create a crisis. I'm one of those, either of these things have been happening to me ever so often. And I realize, what is it that pulls me through? What pulls me through are two things. One is I don't take myself too seriously, which helps. because if you don't take yourself too seriously, then you do things in a little bit more of an easier, more casual manner. Not casual in the sense of doing it badly, but you do it in a manner that is more peaceful with yourself. And the second reason is because I introspect. I see what is it that is there in me that is inhibiting someone from doing something. So introspection is an important part of what we do as leaders. The third element of leadership, which unfortunately doesn't appear on your balance sheet, doesn't appear in your P&L, but is an extremely important aspect of leadership that we need to build. And unfortunately, again, here, this is something where we have the innate skills, but we don't exploit it well enough, is creating a culture. Today, if there is one truth that pervades all across the corporate world, is the fact that seldom companies fail because of poor strategies. Seldom. They do, but seldom do they fail because of poor strategies. They invariably fail because of rotten leadership and culture. Environments are toxic. Environments are divisive. Environments are dog-eat-dog. Environments are called competitive. And that competitive means that bludgeon the other guy down or the other lady down. Or it takes the manifestation of what Hina talked about, which is pull down diversity and say, but this person is not ready. This person is not good enough. This woman doesn't deserve a seat at the table. These are all signs of creating a culture that is not inclusive, that is not diverse, and that doesn't take into account the one reason why somebody should be at the table, which is merit and competence. Tulsi said this beautifully. He said, Avat here, harshe nahi, nainan nahi saneh. Where you go into a place where there is no one smiling and the eyes don't exhibit warmth, Tulsi taha na jaiye, kanchan barse megha. Don't go there, says Tulsi Das, even if the clouds are pouring money on you. This is long before corporate culture was even discussed as a topic. Goswami Tulsi Das talks about this as an example of how you choose your environment. So as young leaders, you need to nurture culture. You need to have a passion for people which doesn't appear on your balance sheet either.